What's your Stephanie?
I love lights.
All right, hey, I want to address a viewer question. Sorry, I don't have my tripod, so I'm trying to get this. Okay, I want to address a viewer question very quickly before I head off to acupuncture. I love acupuncture. Anyway, I got a question on the channel in the last video, I believe, from Jay of Japan Kofun, and I'm probably saying that really wrong. And he said, hey, why newspapers? Why are you focused on reading newspapers? So here is my answer. I knew this time around I wanted to do something different. I've tried to learn Chinese the quote-unquote normal route that I found to be the normal route, which is through speaking everything all at once. And let me explain that. So like the teacher would write the Hanzi characters, the pinyin, and practice the tones with you in a full sentence from the very first lesson. And that happened to me in Taiwan when I tried with traditional characters, and that happened to me in China 7 years ago when I tried when I was in Nanjing. So every time I tried to learn the language, there seemed to be this is how it's taught thing. So I knew I wanted to do something different. And I knew that if I needed something different, that maybe others did too. So again, my dual goal of wanting to learn a language myself and wanting to teach languages in different ways via mobile apps. So those are my two things. So I knew I wanted to enter the language a different way. And the more I was talking to tutors that wanted to do a certain way, I realized that I wanted to enter through reading. I'm a really visual person. I'm a very word person, despite being a horrible monolingual and not absorbing languages very well. I think because I've been trying to absorb them through speaking only, I realized I need to enter through a visual. I know that might not make sense for some of you because a lot of polyglots seem to, and a lot of like fluent bilinguals and multilinguals seem to really pick up languages very quickly for speaking. I'm not that person. So I really wanted to enter through the language. So I practiced with tracing first, and if you look at the early videos, I did a ton of tracing. I even took out some of the videos because there were a lot of them and they didn't seem to be of interest to you. So I still traced like crazy using mobile apps and different things and using paper, but I didn't necessarily show you everything that I was doing. So I knew the characters were beginning to fascinate me and I really wanted to go that route. But I don't really want to write in Chinese. I wanted to view things through the lens of the Chinese language, more so through the people who are using the Chinese language, through their cultural filter. I wanted to read their current information, their current ideas, that kind of thing. And I know social media sounds like a more direct way to get straight to the people, but then you're dealing with slang, abbreviations, like all kinds of dialects, and that just would get, I know as an ex-language teacher for like a decade and a half, that's a really advanced level of any language. So I figured a shorter way might be through newspapers. Now I know there's political issues with that, I know there's formality issues with the language with that, but I thought that could be a shorter term goal to get me into reading sentences and full text and just the characters, no opinion. And so I thought that would be a short-term goal. So the more I started to do this, although I can't do it very well yet, the more I started to do this, the more I got excited over being able to do this, and the more I realized that I do want to enter the language through reading and through newspapers, because one, it seems to be an easier form of the language in some regards. Two, it's current events, and in my current old state, I am more interested in current events and people's opinions and things that are actually happening than entering through literature or through imaginary worlds or through anything made up. I'm very much so more drawn to the real than the made up in language learning. In other areas, I love fiction, I love movies, I love that kind of thing. But in language learning, I really wanted to enter through actual real events. I know there's all kinds of issues around that statement, so we can play with that if you want to. But that's kind of how I entered the goal, or it came to the goal of reading newspapers. Now I went through my videos after I got Jay's question this morning, because I thought for sure I did an entire video on why newspapers, why I wanted to read newspapers, and I know I've talked about it in different videos, but the problem is some of my update videos are like 20 to 30 minutes long, and at some point I have to split those up into sections with better titles. But right now I'm more focused on learning than I am broadcasting in a neat and condensed fashion, which you may have noticed. So right now it's stuck somewhere in there. So I thought I would just reflect on it again, since it's been a long time coming, and since I didn't realize from the initial, this is my third, I think I did my third different welcome to the channel kind of video, because what I'm doing has become more clear as time has gone on. So when I did the more current video, welcome to the changing scripts video the other day, the one that Jay commented on, I realized how much clearer this goal has gotten for me, and how much I really, really just want to read newspapers. Once I get there and get comfortable with there, then I'll reassess and see, can I get to social media sites? Is that language accessible to me? How long does it take me to get there? How much has the language changed? Or am I really enjoying the content in different kinds of newspapers? What kinds of newspapers? Can I switch over to magazines? There's probably a lot of online reading, although I tend to really like offline reading more than online reading these days for so many different issues. So I mean, there's a lot going on with that, but I refuse to assess that until I get to that level. And trust me, folks, that's going to take time. I mean, we just hit, 10 months, 9-10 months, and I just started doing words about 3 months ago and hardcore about a month ago. So I go slow. I've got a lot of stuff going on offline, in addition to this hobby of learning to read in Chinese. So it's a slow and long process, but I do want current events, I want real events, and I want opinions and different viewpoints, and I want things that are current and happening now, but through the lens of the language that I'm studying and through the lens of the people that use the language that I'm studying. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Anyway, so thank you, Jay, for your question. If the title of his YouTube thing, Japan Kofun, strikes your fancy, there's a couple of things I need to tell you. One, it should, because it's super interesting, and he has a channel where he goes to different places, a YouTube channel where he goes to different, Kofun is ancient tombs. He goes to different tombs in Japan and films them in this very, very cool way. I describe it some more in one of my podcasts, my audio podcast episodes coming up this Sunday. It'll be coming out on Sunday. So keep an eye out for that. Yes, that is a shameless plug, but I'm doing it because I can. So anyway, so in my podcast, I talk about expats and geopats and their experiences and what they're sharing with us in their host countries that they live in overseas. So stay tuned for that. That's coming out this Sunday. And I'll put the link to his channel down below, so you can go over now and take a look at his channel before you listen to my podcast on his channel. And thank you very much for Jay. He's been an active member of, or an active participant in the madness that is changing scripts and my learning to read the Chinese language from the beginning. And I really, really appreciate his ideas and his questions, and his tips and advice have been so, so helpful. So, thank you very much. I'd like to do more videos like these where I'm answering you via video instead of via typing, because, I mean, it's a video channel. Why haven't I done this before? I don't know, but thank you for the idea, Jay. That's Yan.